Audio Jungle.
Hello YouTube, and welcome to another Virtual Worlds tutorial. In today's tutorial we'll be taking a look at displacement textures, which allows us to give us some real 3D definition to our mesh. Now what I will mention is if you've got a simple cube, it's not going to have too many vertices and triangles, and for this to work effectively you're going to need to have a mesh with about at least between 55,000 plus triangles, vertices. To do that we're going to be using a program called Blender, but first, and the link will be in the description, but first let me show you this website called Normal Map Online. The link will be in the description. Basically what this site allows you to do, it's free to use as long as you want. You can donate if you so wish. What this site allows you to do is from your textures you upload a diffuse texture, then you can convert it into a normal map, a displacement map, an ambient occlusion and a specular. So if we want to go ahead and do that, just click in load. What you can, I've got a brick wall texture. All these, the textures for this tutorial and the high poly cube mesh are all in the description, the download link, in case you don't want to have to do this manually, you just want to get on with it. And if you do, I suggest you skip further in the video to get to the part where I actually start noding up in the material instance the textures. Okay, as you can see it's got it in our preview window here. As of now you see these, you got normal checked, AO which is ambient occlusion, and specular checked. That means it's showing all three of your textures, your texture types. To get from normal to ambient occlusion, specular displacement, here in the middle you've got normal, that selects your normal, you've got the properties for normal where you can adjust it to your liking. Then if you click on displacement, you've got displacement, then ambient occlusion, then specular. What you want to do, although I loaded it in via diffuse, the best thing to do so you can actually see them in the middle box here, that's the actual view for a texture. The best thing to do isn't actually loading it in diffuse, because it only becomes available in the preview window. We want it available in this box here so we can actually see the effects we're doing, the changes we're applying. So open your textures. I've selected a texture, preferably a brick texture, because in this tutorial we're going to be making a brick wall. Or you can go ahead and download the files and the links in the description and choose the brick wall texture. I'll just find mine a moment. Then when you've got the texture, drag it into the far left one. And now don't worry about this box, that's just a height map. We won't be listening to that or doing anything with this. This is the one you want to take a notice of, the middle box. As now you can see it's all light and white. That's because we're on specular. So click on normal map, it shows our normal. This is a preview window. What you can do is uncheck specular and AO, so you're only seeing a normal difference, the normal map difference. And then you've got individual properties for individual categories here. So you've got properties for normal map. So if you turn the strength all the way up to the maximum, then the level all the way up to the maximum, and sharpen it say at about 5, you can now see that's what our normal map would look like. And then to go ahead and download it, make sure it's on PNG. You can select JPEG or TIFF, but for Unreal Engine you need a PNG file. Make sure the opacity is on 100% if that's what you require, so it's not see-through. Click on download, and as you can see, give it a second, it's downloading and it's called normal map. Then if you want to download say displacement, ambient occlusion or specular, click on the corresponding categories. We'll try for ambient occlusion, we'll click on that, we'll adjust the properties, there you go. Then what you do, since that one's selected, so we can't see ambient occlusion on our preview because it's not selected here, to include it on the preview, so we'll uncheck normal, then we'll click on AO for ambient occlusion, and that's our ambient occlusion preview. And to download it, make sure it's selected here on the category you want, ambient occlusion, and click download, give it a second, and it downloads, and it's called ambient occlusion map. They're all named corresponding to their texture type. And then if you want displacement or specular, click on displacement and then uncheck that and click on displacement's already checked. I reckon a good displacement is about 0.325, and then just the contrast, so it not so it's so bright. You probably you want to give it definition, because it starts off about like this, a bit blurred and greyed and a bit washed out. You want to move it up the contrast till you get to something that gives it real definition, but not too light, not too bright. We'll have a good one for ambient occlusion here. Sorry, for displacement is 0.25. Just key it in with your number pad, and there you go. You can download that. Like I said, all these textures, the displacement, normal, ambient occlusion, and specular, although we won't be using the specular, are available in the download file, and then the links in the description in case you don't want to bother going through all this. I provided the files. It's in the description, the link. Okay, we can move on from there now. Once you've got all your files, your ambient occlusion, your normal map, and your displacement, go ahead and open up Unreal. But if you've downloaded the files, mine's been downloaded to my desktop. It's a zip file, although WinRAR picked it up as a WinRAR file, but it's actually a .zip, so any compression utility file should open it. And since I've got WinRAR, that's how I extract it. Just right click and click extract to displacement PBR texture assets. Give it a second. It's about just under 32 megabytes to download, and drag your new folder, the displacement assets, and put it somewhere in your content browser. Let it import. Make sure it's all checked like this. You want combine meshes on, and then you want import materials and textures. I provide the high poly cube, so if you want to skip ahead to the part where I actually start creating the PBR texture, go ahead and use the high polygon mesh that I created in Blender. We'll be creating that in just a moment. The high polygon mesh from scratch, because if you've got a simple cube or a simple mesh, you're not going to have really enough vertices and triangles for the PBR texture when it's set up to properly draw across the surface, allowing for 3D definition to actually jump out of the texture, sort of thing. Okay, so now what you want to do is go to your geometry, get a box. Before you get a box, click the texture you want. We want brick 1 diffuse, then drag the box out. It hasn't actually applied the texture. What? How annoying. What you can do is right click, select all additive brushes. No, we don't want select all additive brushes. We want select all surfaces, but it highlights the bottom one. As you can see, I've already gone ahead and made a floor. You can just drag a box in and make it as big as you want. Then just hold down control, click on that one, because we don't want to affect that surface. Now the cube ones are highlighted. We'll just drag, since it's a BSP brush, you can just drag your brick 1 diffuse texture and drag it onto the surface, and it'll create a material automatically called brick 1 diffuse underscore matte. Then make sure the brush is highlighted. We'll change the scale to 5 by 5 by 5. So what we're going to do, we'll probably put the Z value on 3 and the rest on, say, 7 and 7. And then select the surface, right click, go to select, then choose select all surface. No, go to the bottom where it says materials, and then select the one that says select all with same material. So it should select all the sides, and it hasn't. So what you might want to do is just quickly hold down Control, go around your box, and just highlight them all by left mouse clicking and holding down Control. And drag your brick one diffuse texture back onto it. As you can see, it's now applied to all of it. Then right click, might have to highlight them again, so if we just quickly go highlight them all, and then come down to surface properties, and then go to alignment and choose align surface by planar. As you can see, it's set down to quite small, so we want, let's try 1, 1, put 1 in the U and 1 in the V, under scale, under surface properties, and then apply it. So it actually hasn't done anything. Let's see what 5 does. That's a bit too big. We'll try 3.75, 3.75, then apply. Yeah, that's fine. Once you have your mesh, your brush, we're gonna convert it into a static mesh now, so we can import it into Blender and add more triangles. Because if you have a look, you can't really see yet because it's a brush, but when you have a look at the model in Unreal, when you open it up, when it's a mesh, or in Blender, it tells you how many triangles and vertices it has. If we was to look, if this was a mesh now, to look at it, it's on about 20 vertices and 40 triangles. That's not enough really for it to be able to draw properly across. That's only if you've got a simple mesh. What you can do is export your mesh and then load it into Blender, which is free software, and I'll provide the link in the description. You can subdivide, it's very easy, subdivide, and you add more and more vertices and polygons, and it'll be able to accurately draw across the surface, giving you real 3D definition. Okay, so make sure the brush is highlighted to box brush 2, and then look in your details panel and come down to just on the brush settings and come down to it says create static mesh. It'll bring up the dialog window asking you for a name and where to save it. We'll call it low poly mesh, and it's important you save it on the desktop or somewhere like that. You don't really want to save it in your assets because it'll become a .asset file, and Blender won't be able to read those. If I can just, you create a static mesh and then you put it in one of your folders. So we'll choose UE4 tutorial assets in the PBR tutorial. Create static mesh. As you can see, it's brought it in. So now I can delete that brush. We'll drag it in, bring it up. It's kept the texture. Then if we double click on the actual model, as you can see, just zoom out. Up here, where the mouse cursor is, you've got LOD 0. It tells you all about it. And look, triangles is on 12 and vertices is on 24. That's nowhere near enough to get the proper effect. If you set up PBR texture on a flat surface like this, it won't really have much of an effect, and you won't be able to really tell the changes. You need at least between 55,000 to 65,000 plus triangles or vertices. I can't remember which one you need. I think it's triangles, about 64,000 triangles and 30,000 vertices. You need something like that. You need tens of thousands. So now we've got that. Then what you do is we right click on the model. This is getting it ready for Blender to add more surfaces, more vertices and triangles. Right click, come down to asset actions, go across, come down to export. As you can see, it's got a name and it's going to export as an FBX file. That's perfect because Blender recognizes FBX models. We'll call it, set on a desktop, we'll call it low poly mesh. Make sure FBX 2013 is selected, and that's about it. Just export that. Now you can delete, we don't need that, we can delete that one, we don't need that one. And then open Blender, go ahead and download it. The link in the description, it's free to use and free to download. So go ahead and open Blender, mine's already open here. And then you should be presented with a default screen that looks like this. Cube and a camera. We don't need the cube, so make sure it's clicked, click it, press delete. The little drop down dialog window will come up asking you if you want to delete it, and click delete. Same thing for this camera, highlight it, press delete, and click delete it to delete it. Then go to File, Import, FBX, and look for that low poly mesh we exported out of Unreal. It was on a desktop called low poly mesh. There it is. Double click on it, and there you go. There it is. Don't worry if it's showing a texture. It's just, it's not in texture mode at the moment. As you can see, then we want to go to where it says Object. So you want to highlight it first by clicking on it, then go to Object, then go to Edit Mode. As you can see, where this diagonal line is, these triangles are the vertices, these are triangles and these are the vertices, the end points where they join. As you can see, there's not a lot of them. So to get more, what we do is we make sure we come to the left under Transform and Tools. We go down to Subdivider. Click on it once. As you can see, the amount. If you look up here, it now says verts 26, edges 72, faces 48, triangles 48. So it's doubled in size. We want more than that. So we'll click on Subdivide again and again and again. We'll see how many we've got now. Let's see, it has 146 triangles, 12,000. Still need more than that. There you go. It should do nicely. We've got vertices of 90,000 and triangles of 196,000. That's more than enough. Once you've got something like that, actually that's probably too much. Now we've got vertices 24,500 and whatever. Then you've got triangles 49,000. That's pretty good. We can do something with that. That's probably where you want it. About 50,000 to 75,000 triangles and between 20 to about 30,000 vertices. Then go ahead and click File. We're going to export it now. Go down to Export. Make sure it's an FBX file because that's what Unreal understands. And then choose a save location. We'll give it a desktop and we'll give it a name. Now we'll call it, instead of low poly mesh, we'll call it high underscore poly underscore mesh, and save it to the desktop. Then go ahead and click export. We can now close Blender down because we don't need it. And wherever your file is, go to there, drag it, and bring it into your folder content browser in Unreal. And then you want to make sure you've got combine meshes highlighted, convert scene, front force x-axis, and then make sure if you want the texture on it, make sure you've got import materials and import textures. Click apply. Takes a little while because it's a high poly mesh. As you can see, we've now got high poly mesh. We drag that in. If we open it up, we can see it's taking effect. If we scroll out and see it, there's no real change yet. It's just added more vertices and triangles. But now you can see, before it said 24 and 12, we've now got 49,152 triangles and 25,350 vertices. That's about right. You can go for a little bit more if you want, but I wouldn't go too much less. We'll save that. Now what you're going to want to do, now we can start making the PBR texture with the textures we created from our diffuse texture on with the normal Map Online app. But if you've downloaded the files, link in the description, this is now where we apply the PBR. We've got to set it up first. So what you want to do is right click, we want to create a new material instance, sorry, just material, go up here and click on material, give it a name, we'll call it displacement underscore PBR texture underscore matte for material. Then go ahead and open it up, and then first thing you're going to want to do, since it's shining, we don't want it shining because it's a brick wall, go to roughness, drag it out, drag the execution pin out from roughness, then it should bring up this drop down list, go to constants and click on the first one, constant, and then it'll default to 0, which is completely full shininess and roughness. So click on the value under material expression constant and click 1. As you can see, it's no longer shiny. Drag that back over there. Then click on your shrink resize window, so you can see the content browser and you can see the material editor. Just zoom out a bit, and then on your content browser, highlight ambient occlusion map, brick 1 diffuse map. Excuse me. Excuse me. Yeah, highlight ambient occlusion by holding down Control and left clicking. Click on brick 1 diffuse. Then we want displacement map. No, we don't want displacement just yet. That's the last thing to do. Then we want a normal map and specular. If you can have a specular, that adds shininess to your surface. We don't need it in this case because it's a brick wall and it wouldn't really be that shiny in real life if it was a brick wall. So we've got ambient occlusion, brick 1 diffuse, and a normal map highlighted. Go ahead and drag them in, and it'll automatically create a texture sample node for you for each individual texture. And then what you can do, go back to the material editor, hook up if you're not sure what the names are, you can check the names by clicking on the node, and then down by texture it tells you the name here. It's brick 1 diffuse. So take your diffuse pin, your top pin to the right, take this pin from your diffuse texture and plug it into base color. Then take the top, your execution pin on, the same execution pin on this sample node on your normal map and plug it into normal. And this one is the ambient occlusion map. So take the execution pin, the top one to the right, drag out the execution pin and plug it into ambient occlusion. No real change yet. Then what you do, resize your window so you get your content browser. It's just a bit quicker if you do it this way, so you don't have to right click and keep selecting texture samples. It will automatically create your texture sample node if you drag them in from content browser. It's just quicker. And then we want to right click in material editor, so right click and type in 2D. 2D will come up and it will bring down the drop down list. The node we want is under parameters and it's called texture sample parameters 2D. Click on that, we'll give it a name displacement. We'll just put it under here, then we'll just drag that out over there, and then it's currently selected the ambient occlusion map. So what we want to do is make sure your new displacement node is selected. Click on displacement map, then open back up the material editor. Now make sure displacement is highlighted and come down to where it says texture, and you see this arrow here, that'll drop in whatever, that'll apply the texture because it's selected in the content browser. Whatever selected in your content browser, this will apply it. So we click on the arrow, and as you can see, now it says displacement map. we have our displacement. We're still not done though. What you want to do is next drag out from the top right execution pin under the displacement node, drag it out and type in multiply. And then what you want to do is right click and we're going to search for the scalar texture. It's a bit of a strange spelling. You spell it S-C-A-L-A-R. So if you spell that right, S-C-A-L-A-R, scalar, sorry, it should bring up this under parameters. You want the scalar parameter. Click on that. We'll call this one tessellation strength. Press return. Then we'll make sure it's the tessellation strength is selected. What we've just done. Then press Ctrl and W to duplicate it, and then make sure the new one's selected. And when it says tessellation strength, just change the strength part to amount. So it now says tessellation amount. You can go ahead and drag tessellation amount up here. Then we'll connect this pin to tessellation multiplier. And make sure the tessellation amount is still selected. We'll set the default value of 0.75. That might be too big. Leave it on that. And then make sure tessellation strength is selected, and we'll put that on 0.75. Then drag the execution pin from tessellation strength up into the pin B on the first multiply. Click on that, leave it, plug it in there, sorry. Then drag out from the multiply. What we want now is another multiply. Type in multiply, get another node, and then break the link by holding Control and clicking on the link, the line, then plug it into the bottom one in B. And then from A, drag out and type in vertex. Just type in vertex, and then the one you want is under coordinates vertex normal WS, not the one under vectors called vertex normal WS. The one you want is under coordinates called vertex normal WS. Click on that. Now that's fine. Drag out from this multiply pin. We want another multiply, the last one. From multiply, then select it. Then let's have a look. Make sure it's working alright. Into the top, into the bottom. Then make sure this one's plugged into the A pin on multiply. Then drag out from B and type in object radius. And that'll be anything that comes up. It's on the coordinates. Click on that. Then nearly done. Drag out from this execution pin on the last multiply and put that into, it's grayed out but it'll still work. Put it into just above tessellation multiplier. For tessellation amount, we want to put it into world displacement. As you can see, there's a little bit of an effect now. We'll apply that, and to change the amount, what you want to do, the real one that will affect it is strength, but we'll select tessellation amount. We'll put that up to the default value of 1.25. Then update. Actually, we'll put it on just 1. Then come down to strength. If I was to do something drastic or much more than that, if I put 5, watch what I'll put 3. Watch what happens. Oh, it's not actually working yet. Sorry. There's one last thing we've got to do. It's not working. Right. Click on this node, the default node that you get with every material editor in material editor. Make sure that's highlighted where it says displacement PBR matte. The map we corrected, and come down all the way down to get to the section called tessellation. By default, it will say no tessellation. You want to click on that. For flat surfaces, you want flat tessellation, but for more angular and more complicated meshes, you want PN triangles. So if you had a non-player character, or say like a castle FBX model, you want PN triangles. But since I was just a basic block, a cube, rather a rectangle, you want flat tessellation. Click on that. Give it a little while to update. As you can see, it's now gone crazy. That's not what we want. Make sure crack-free displacement is checked and turn off adaptive tessellation. Now to settle that, click on tessellation amount. We'll put it on 0.5. And then the one that's really going to take notice of it is tessellation strength. Yeah, even one's still too high. We'll put we put 0.5. That's still way too much. So what we want to do is 0.0625. That should be fine now. Zoom in. That's still a bit too much. Click on tessellation amount. We'll get this number accurate. We'll put 0.0395. So it's 0.0395. That's a bit better. Click back on tessellation strength. That's not too bad. That's still a bit too much. So we'll try 0.00525. Sorry. 525, 0.0525. Feel free to experiment with these values under the material expression scalar parameters, default value for the tessellation strength and the tessellation amount. But you have to put in real small numbers like 0.0, then your numbers to make sure it's not completely all over the place. As you see, that's giving it real 3D definition, way better than just a normal map. It's actually displacement texture. Now what to do, give that an apply, give it a save, close it down, and then open up your high poly mesh and make sure it's dragged out into your scene. So double click on high poly mesh and resize the window so you can see the content browser. Have the material we just created, displacement PBR map selected, then where it says brick on diffuse map, click on the arrow to place in the new material, and that's the displacement PBR map. Zoom out. As you can see, that's quite drastic. That's still too much, but we'll shrink that down. The trick is just to keep playing with it until it looks right. So we'll open up displacement PBR map, resize the window and get a good look at the wall. What we want, we'll go tessellation amount. Tessellation amount is probably fine. Tessellation strength, we'll try 0.0625. Make it even smaller. No, that's probably not enough. Okay. 0.01. Nope. Let's go to it. 0.0175 maybe. It's just a matter of experimenting until you get just the right look. We could go for a bit more than that. We'll try 2.5, 0.025. So a bit too much. 2.15. 0.5. Go really up close to it. As you can see from the side, it's actually protruding now. It's giving it real definition. See that? The more in Blender, the more triangles and vertices you have, the smoother it will be. But then you've got to bear in mind, the more resources it will use when you're playing your game, slowing your frame rate down if you've got loads of instances of high poly meshes. So if you have got lots of instances of high poly meshes, make sure you use volume occlusion so it doesn't render at certain distances all the objects. So it's not, it frees up a lot of resource power. If you don't know how to do occlusion, I suggest you go and watch one of my other videos in the same playlist for this video. The occlusion tutorials in there. What we want, that's still too much, so we'll have 1925, 0.1925. Even that's a bit too much. 0.15. I think that's looking okay. Give it a save. Look at that. Get up close. It now looks like it's got real definition. I'm still not quite happy with the size, so go back down to tessellation strength, and we will put 1.85 or 1.825. Sorry about this, but it takes a little while to get it right, otherwise it looks horrible, and if you don't do it right, it'll either look horrible or you won't have much of an effect. That looks pretty good, but I'm going to go for, that should be the last number, that should be the number you put in for tessellation strength, 0.01975. Give that an apply. Nearly finished. That's quite good. I might just quickly change the tessellation amount to 0.435. That's perfect. Give it an apply, give it a save. And now if you play the game, you might want to adjust it some more because that's not quite right. That's still a bit too strong on the tessellation strength, but you get the idea. I won't bore you by changing those properties again. But yeah, as you can see, if you get really up close, there's no collision on it, so if you want collision, you're going to have to put a box collision on it. As you can see, it's protruding from the side based on all those vertices we had. If I had double the amount, it'd be a bit smoother. Or you can smooth it in Blender if you don't know how. Just type in Blender smoothing on Google. You can get it a lot smoother. I'll show you quickly. And if you look from here, get a bit closer, it now looks like it's got proper definition, doesn't it? You get up close, as you can see. But what I'm going to do, just to finish off, is try and get it perfect. So I might, bear with me a sec. Click my mouse. They're the final numbers. That's where it looks good. Tessellation strength is now on 0.008795, and for the tessellation amount we now have it on 0.035. Get it and apply. Save. Make sure your project saved by save all, save selected. Press play. As you can see, when we go up close to the side of the wall, it now looks, you can tell, you can see the 3D definition. If you want it smoother, go ahead and play smooth on your Blender model, or maybe add more vertices to say double the amount, so it's about 120,000, and it'll be smoothened out. If you look from here, you can see that looks proper good, doesn't it? You can see in the corners now, but go over here because there's some light over here. It looks really good, really good. And that's how you set up a PBR texture on your static mesh YouTube. Thank you for watching. If you've liked this video or it's been useful at all, please comment, like and subscribe. Thank you very much and have a great day.